Henderson raising way more than $35 in this first quarter buyout. Shut down the government the last time.
Americans who are going to be presenting the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody will stand, please remove your hats. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Plan A was always for Ted Cruz to be here. What we wanted to do is make an event that was in a venue so big and get lots and lots of media attention and make it so that he could not say no. Well, as of this moment, he has not said yes, he has not said no. I just got word that he was spotted 2 hours ago at Cata Robata. He's in town, and he does not want to hear from us. So I'm really sorry for that. We tried really hard. We tried talking to his people. We got nothing but radio silence. I'm terrified of public speaking, but I leapt at the chance to be up here tonight.
Woo!
Good
job, Liz. We love you!
Love you, Candace. Because I felt like I had questions that I needed to answer. I'm getting a lot of questions on Facebook these days, like, who are you? Why do you hate? Why are you doing this to poor Senator Cruz?
Liz is hard. Yes. So much yes.
I assure you I'm not stalking the senator. Heidi has nothing to worry about. I wanted to explain that. First off, who am I? I'm Liz McConnell. For the last 27 years, I've lived in the suburbs, was a wife, mother, Girl Scout leader, drill team director, booster club, fundraiser, PTA mom. I was politically aware, and I was politically informed, but I wasn't active. And then the election happened, and all of our lives turned upside down. I'm happy now that I am engaged and active, and I would encourage you to do the same. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Well, I've had people ask me, Liz, what are you going to do if he shows up? That was always the plan, and I want to tell you why. Back in December of last year, MoveOn.org sent out a nationwide email blast to everyone that is on their mailing list. And if you're ever feeling lonely, donate to a progressive cause.
Yes!
Well worth it, but you will never be lonely again because you'll get emails every day. Liz, we need you. So they sent out an email blast and said, will you commit to go tomorrow, December 20th, Tuesday, to your senator's local office and protest for the repeal of the ACA? Now, to be clear, ACA repeal was not going to have any impact on me personally, but the number, 24 million people, weighed really heavily on me. And so I went. And I got there. Woo! Clap for the people who go every week. I've been several times.
Yes!
They go every week, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So I went, and I'm standing there with my little homemade sign, which was really pitiful, and people began coming. And they began talking to me. And their stories were personal. It did affect them. It did affect them personally. It was going to have an immediate impact on their lives. And these stories, I will tell you, they're horrible. And I carry those in my heart and in my head every day since December 20th. And I'm not going to stand up here and tell you all of them, but I'll tell you one. A woman had a pacemaker implanted in her heart. Now, I didn't know this, but every so many years, those pacemakers have to have the batteries taken out and updated. Her question for Senator Cruz was, my surgery is scheduled for fall of 2017. Should I make plans for Thanksgiving and Christmas with my family? I don't know if I'll be here. I don't know if my doctor that put this in is going to be the same one to crack my chest, hold my heart in his hands, and be the one to replace that battery. And Ted Cruz wants to tell this woman his canned, pat answer of, this isn't about taking away your health care. This is about giving you the freedom of choice. That lady made her choice. She made her choice. Her choice is her doctor. Her doctor holding her heart in his hands. That's not right. And I just feel that if I have to hear these stories, and now you have to hear these stories, he should come here, man up. Another thing to cowboy up and come in here and face the people. Because before you go back to Washington, D.C. and you rubber stamp Trump's agenda, you need to come in here. You need to hear these stories. You need to carry this weight in your heart. If I have to do it, if you guys have to do it, he needs to do it. But Mr. Cruz is a Cotta Robata. And I'm sorry for that. Because it was always my desire to have him here so that you could get answers. But we have Plan B. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our moderator. Okay, I'm old. I don't understand about half the job titles this young man's had.
Oh,
because
Mama
they
Bear.
didn't exist when I was his age. But I am so proud to know this young man. He has been recognized as one of the most influential young Latino voices in the United States. He is currently a content contributor and social media correspondent for KTRK, ABC 13. He has 55,000 plus social media followers. He uses that platform to educate, inform, and engage his audience on a number of topics. So I'm really glad that he agreed to do this. He is young, he is hip, he is happening. Please give it up for Antonio Ariano.
Social media influencer in the state of Texas. As a multimedia journalist and human rights advocate, I have witnessed firsthand the power of the will of the people of the Lone Star State. Over the past 2 years, together, we have experienced one of the most drastic political shifts and most unprecedented presidential races in modern history. Policy changes are now beginning to be implemented across the board, both locally and nationally. Many of them, if not all of them, affect Houstonians directly. This is why it's absolutely imperative that we have accurate representation from all of our elected candidates, which is why I agreed to be a part of this broad coalition and public nonpartisan town hall to demand accountability, transparency, and validation. We invite you to share this moment on social media and spread the word using the hashtag HoustonRising. And for more details on future events, visit HoustonRising.com to stay informed. I would like to read you now a letter. Dear Senator Cruz, we are writing to you respectfully to request you attend a town hall at Texas Southern University on April 15th. We are happy and open to discuss the details with your staff, but first, allow us to introduce ourselves. We are educators, nurses, paralegals, scientists, stay-at-home moms, managers, bankers, contractors, attorneys, retirees, small business owners, doctors, social workers. We care for our children, we care for our sick, our aging parents, our neighbors, and our community. Some of us are religious, and some of us are not. But what unites us is the deep love of this country, this state, and this deep abiding faith that we, as Americans, can always do better together. Our belief in dialogue, in finding workable solutions, and engaging democratically had led us to organize a town hall. The American can-do and ingenuity tells us that you want to do something, you get up and do it yourself. So we raised $5,000. You raised $5,000, not by funding corporate sponsors, but by asking average day Texans to contribute whatever they had. We have donations ranging from the largest of $200 to the smallest of $2. Texans are invested in this state and will give. They will give whatever it takes to make sure that we find the solutions that we need. We know Texas is a great state and a leader in industry and innovation, but we also know that Texas leads the developed world in maternal mortality and sits near the bottom in national education quality rankings. Mothers, babies, and children need us to work together and begin the discussions that are so vital for the health and well-being of all Texans. So I invite you, Senator Ted Cruz, if you truly believe about Texas and about the well-being of this state, show us and the other 25 million constituents in Texas that you are ready to stand by us or lead us to this misguided agenda that the Trump administration trying to push forward. Show us that you believe in Texas and Texans. Show up on Saturday. Sincerely, your constituents. I regret to inform you that Senator Ted Cruz received that letter and declined to show up here today. But that's okay, because we're still the message to him anyway.
Yes.
So, Senator Ted Cruz, please listen up. There is 2.2 million voters in Harris County that are demanding to speak with you in person. You cannot afford to cut off one of the largest voting polls in the state. We will not stand for it. You see, the concerns are valid. The desire to be heard is real. Our issues need and demand action. Texas has the largest number of uninsured people in the country. Houston ISD is the largest school district in the state and currently ranked 43rd in the nation, according to the Education Quality Report. In Harris County, 28% of residents are under the age of 18, according to the US Census Bureau. Their ability to be well educated will determine the course of success for our state. Our children are the future of this country. We need a bold plan to improve Texas education, and we need that now, Senator.
Yeah.
Senator Cruz, listen closely. Your stance on immigration is simply unacceptable.
Yes! Yes!
Here in Harris County, immigrants make up 29% of our labor force. 31% of immigrants are business owners, and immigrants account for 21% of economic output, according to the forbeartexas.org. That's the facts, not alternative facts. The real facts.
The real facts.
You see, Harris County believes in creating a sanctuary for our immigrants and for our dreamers because it's morally correct.
Yes.
Because it's economically the right thing to do.
Yes.
Your constituents deserve to know how you will protect our families and our friends. We want to know what you will do for our economy. Here are some other facts and statistics you should consider. 20% of our population is African American. 42% are Hispanic descent. 30% of them in Harris County residents hold a bachelor's degree in a higher education, according to the US Census Bureau. But you see, Senator Cruz, what's most importantly for you to understand is that the population of Harris County is 3 times larger than the amount of votes it took for you to win the seat.
Yes! 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 Him out! Vote 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 him out! Yes!
Senator, it will be very difficult for you to win re-election without Harris County, Senator.
Yes, indeed!
A Change.org petition has now reached over 1,000 supporters, and it's quickly growing by the minute. Announce your town hall free into the public with your Harris constituents immediately, Senator, and engage in democracy without fear.
Yes!
It is an honor to be here with you, ladies and gentlemen, and before we continue, I would like to give this opportunity to let you guys know that we will make sure that each and one of your voices is heard. So please make sure that you are engaging. If you have ever shared a comment, posted a status about how upset you are about your issue, whatever it may be, this is the opportunity to have that platform and take advantage of it so that your voice is resonating throughout Harris County and the nation. When you reach one of our microphones, please introduce yourself by your name, what part of town you live in, and tell us your story. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce to you our panel of experts. First off, we have Ms. Fran Watson. Ms. Fran Watson is a native Houstonian with a passion for equality and believes that everyone deserves a life of dignity and equal dignity. Ladies and gentlemen, Fran Watson. Our second panelist is going to be a woman who is a community organizer and an advocate for Houstonian Muslims. She has worked in classrooms and nonprofits, political campaigns, and with our government closely to make sure that we maximize our Muslim community outreach. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss, and I apologize if I mispronounce her name, because I'm Antonio Arellano, so I get that all the time. Zainab Giri. Our next panelist is a contractor for the Center of Public Policy Priorities and focuses on the access to health coverage through Medicaid, CHIP, and the Affordable Care Act. Please welcome Melissa McChesney.
Yeah!
Joining us, we also have Dr. Extraordinaire, Dr. Caroline Payne, an international medicine practitioner from the Pediatrician's Physicians at the Baylor College of Medicine. With us, we also have an environmental justice professional, Ms. Judith Asare. And wrapping up our panel of experts, we have the native Texan and third-generation educator, 45-year resident of Harris County, 25 years educating in Clear Lake ISD, president of the Bad Women and chair of the Democratic Clubs in Harris County. At this point, if you have a question, please raise your hands or make your way to one of our mics. We will also have our people in the back with American flags. They will come to you and guide you, usher you to the front of the podium. Please feel free to begin. Questions, comments, concerns for Senator Cruz? Remember to please introduce yourself by your name, what area of town, and tell us your story.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi. I'm Daniel Cohen. I'm from West. I'm from Wesley Galleria. Originally, I'm from Fonder, Southwest. I'm a Houston native. At one point, Senator Cruz used the terms. He's had a path to citizenship in his policy plan, and that has since been stripped. So my question for him would be, especially in context of what's happened with recent executive orders and the demagogic language that has popped up over the course of the campaign, and the pretty much, I would use the word infiltration ideologically of the Republican Party with heinous and I would say an immigration policy that completely lacks compassion. What's his path forward from here? Because this is unsustainable.
Right. Can we speak, one of our panelists, to the topic of immigration and the new policies, what you have seen in the community and what you suggest we do moving forward?
Alrighty. I'm pretty sure if we sat here for the next week, we could continue to talk about this. So my understanding is that the way that Ted Cruz has been spewing this hatred, it's really not original. It's not even like he sat down and developed his own opinions on the matter. He just counterpunches whatever Trump says, right? And I think a lot of his policies were direct reactions to the way that Trump shaped the election cycle. So whatever Trump said, he just tried to one-up him, right? And we know that his rhetoric was really a ball of nothing. It was just, you know, he's like an anti-establishment movement conservative. He discussed the Muslim community. Even though he is part Cuban, his most extreme language was against Cuba. And you know, you had, for example, his calls for policing neighborhoods that were quote-unquote Muslim, because we all live in the same areas, just like all terrorists in the Middle East live in the same area. So of course you can just carpet bomb the heck out of them because there are no civilians living in those areas. The fact that he, is able to so easily create this monolithic blob out of people. I think it's really hard for him, perhaps because he doesn't have real friends from these communities, people that he knows personally, who live a different way, who, don't, he's at Katarabata, they said, right? So, even the places where he goes, he doesn't have to see people who look like us, people who, come from a different social stratus, and he talks about eliminating racial affirmative action because economic affirmative action is supposedly the way to go. The way he talks, it's as if he doesn't understand that poor people exist. Doesn't understand that when he discusses healthcare or immigration or whatever, it's extremely inflammatory, and it doesn't affect him because he doesn't have to go to the places where we're being affected. He can talk about them, shutting us down or barring us from entering countries, but until it affects the white, very scary Christian concepts that he holds dear, until it affects people who believe the way that he does, it doesn't matter. So he demands religious liberty, but he's not going to give you the ability to practice your
Thank you so much for your question, Daniel. Going forward, ladies and gentlemen, just to be specific on our panelist expertise, we do have immigration questions that are welcome, social justice questions from experts, healthcare, education, and environmental issues. So feel free to, if that's your issue, feel free to raise your hand, and one of our ushers will make your way to the mic. Go ahead.
I'm Dr. Ruth Hoffman-Lack. I'm a licensed specialist in school psychology, but I also have a PhD. Dr. Ruth Hoffman-Lack. I'm a licensed specialist in school psychology. And school psychology's job essentially is that anything that keeps a kid from succeeding in school is our problem. So we diagnose learning disabilities and developmental disabilities and emotional disturbance, and we teach teachers how to teach all those kids who have all those things. And we do interventions and see if interventions are working, and lots of people don't know we exist, and so that's my plug. My concern about education is this. I worked in public schools for several years as a teacher, and I've been doing contract work in different, largely charter schools for the last several years. And what I am seeing in charter schools are three kinds of kids. There are kids who would do well no matter where you put them. And those kids, they could learn sitting in this thing right here with like 3 pieces of paper and a pencil, right? Then we have the kids whose parents have put them in charter schools because they're afraid of the public schools, but those kids are not necessarily academically driven. And what we do with every single charter school I've been in several, what we do with those kids at the secondary level is give them unbelievable amounts of more of the same stuff that they're bad at all day long. Because there are no resources in charter schools for art, for music, and I would, my son goes to the high school for performing and visual arts, and I will say that there is not a behavior problem there. There are no fights. You know why? Because kids get to do what makes them happy. It was misdiagnosed 6 years ago as being, as one thing, which was not accurate. At the 3-year, when they should have reevaluated him, they decided not to because that would cost more money, so they didn't, and they went with the first bad evaluation which anyone who looked at that would have known the numbers were wonky, and someone should have looked into that. So as this child is about to graduate high school, he just finds out, no, it isn't your fault all this time, you aren't stupid, you have a learning disability. And that's what I see all over the place. I see those two kinds of kids in special ed, the ones who don't get what they need and the ones whose parents are trying to keep them from the diagnosis. I get the miserable kids who need more support in doing art or music or something that they enjoy during the day, and then the kids that would be fine anywhere we go. So my concern is, how can we possibly be pouring all of this money into having this woman in charge of education who's never even been in public schools, and continuing to do more that doesn't work. It does not work, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You bang your head against the wall all day, but the wall's not moving, it does not work. So what do we do about it?
Yeah, what do we do?
Good question, thank you.
Just to explain, there are 2 types of charter schools. The one type is the one that she was talking about. That is what would we call a private charter school, and has many problems like that.
The other is the public charter schools. And the public charter schools are actually under the auspices of school districts. And HISD has a number of public charter schools that go by all the same. The testing, they get all the services that you would get within the public schools. And another clarification, the special needs children that she is talking about, if they are in a private school, the public school that is the closest has to provide the services to them in the private school. There is also the testing. The testing involves, and this comes from all the way from the national government, the testing has been cut back to only 1% exemption. That means a child who has special needs, who is not foundationally struggling, will have to take the test, whatever standardized test, at the grade level that they are, no matter what their functioning capacity is, because they basically are using it to denigrate that school. Understand that there is nothing to assist that child that can be done. Everything has been taken away from the public schools. The funding that you hear about, the one that Betsy DeVos knew nothing about, IDEA,
Yes.
is what funds the children in the school districts all over the United States, because the public schools do not have the ability to fund what is needed. She was talking about taking away all of that. So she's basically saying that no child with any special needs at all should be serviced at all, and they basically need to go in a hole somewhere and go away. That is what Ted Cruz believes. So keep that and fight for those children that need the services. I have a daughter who is dyslexic. She receives services under IDEA. Today, she has an outstanding job as a mechanical engineer here in Houston. Every child needs a chance to succeed on their level, in their universe, and we need to fight for that every day.
And I would just like to piggyback on that. For those parents with children with special needs, the IDEA law is a law that was enacted in the 1970s that actually it gives parents rights to advocate for their children. Okay, so if you have a child or you know of a child, a parent who is not aware and needs their child to be evaluated, it's very important that we empower these parents, because by law, the school is required to initiate an evaluation for disability services. And I'm happy to talk to anyone about this afterwards so that we can move on to the next question. But there are definitely resources out there.
Thank you, Doctor. Great question. Thank you. Next. Right there.
Hi. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Jennifer Majors-Bacha. I'm from the Woodlands, Texas. And I would like to ask Ted Cruz why he feels it's okay to tell me what to do with my body, but doesn't think... And just to piggyback on that, I'm an insurance agent, and I get a lot of calls for individual health quotes, and I don't understand how we have allowed the people that represent us to refuse Medicaid expansion.
Yes.
The rates would be much lower. I feel like the public is misinformed, and if there was a campaign to educate people, I think that would make a huge difference. And so, thank you for allowing me to...
Definitely. Thank you, Jennifer, for your question.
So, to answer your question about why Ted Cruz thinks he has the liberty to tell us women what to do with our bodies, I don't have that answer.
Right.
However, I do agree with you that there is a lot of misinformation, especially regarding services for women, including Planned Parenthood, and where federal dollars go and for what services they provide. And I will tell you, Planned Parenthood does not receive federal dollars to provide abortion. The federal cuts in funding to Planned Parenthood are made specifically to penalize providers who also provide abortions not using federal funding. This is a backdoor way to penalize these providers, and that results in lower rates of testing for cervical cancer, STDs, for mammograms. Overall, this is an assault to women. And unfortunately, this is an assault to women of lower socioeconomic status. I called Ted Cruz's office. I've done it several times.
So have we, I promise.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure we're all quite familiar. And I became comfortable with the same gentleman who every day was answering my questions. And on that particular day, I was asking why Ted Cruz felt like defunding Planned Parenthood would further his journey on limiting abortion in Texas, especially since Planned Parenthood was not providing abortion services, and rather it was providing primary gynecological services and cancer prevention services for women. And I'm not sure if Ted Cruz has the appropriate background on Planned Parenthood, because this person, this individual who answered the phone and was speaking with me, said 100% that Planned Parenthood does not provide cancer screening services, and I'm here to tell you that is not true. Absolutely. So, yes, I agree, more public education.
Kyle and I are.
Yeah. But perhaps more education of our lawmakers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor, and thank you, Jennifer, for your question. And for anybody else that would like to speak to some Planned Parenthood representatives, we do have some.
Medicaid?
And would anybody want to?
I would love to speak about the Medicaid expansion. I was pleasantly surprised by the 2 points that you made because they're absolutely true and actually supported by good research and data. The first one you made was that our premiums would be lower had we expanded Medicaid. That's absolutely true. Under Secretary Burwell, before the administration changed in the Department of Health and Human Services at the U.S. level, there was a study done that looked at counties that were on the border of expansion and non-expansion states. On our western border, they looked at several of the counties there. They held constant many other variables, and the most conservative estimate, I would repeat, the most conservative estimate was that premiums in Arizona were lower by at least 7% in the second year of the Affordable Care Act. So that is the most conservative estimate. So you're absolutely correct. And why is that true? Well, first off, the Medicaid program has been designed historically to provide services to low-income populations. They do a better job of it. Medicaid is more efficient and more effective than private health care in many ways. So putting low-income individuals into Medicaid, where there is no cost sharing and where they have guaranteed access to the services they need, is a more effective way to handle, clearly more effective than leaving them entirely uninsured, which is what Texas did. The second point that was made was that there's a lot of misinformation about Medicaid expansion, and that if people knew more, then they would likely be more willing to accept it as a policy. That actually has been showed in study groups. And many of those focus groups were done here in Houston and in Dallas with moderate Republicans. So, because it doesn't actually, people have so much misinformation. A great example of this, I actually saw Texas legislatures having this misinformation. They have the impression that if you are a mother, then you can access Medicaid, because there's a small portion of parents here in Texas that can get Medicaid, about 150,000. That's compared to the 3 million children. 3 million children, only 150,000 parents. Why is that? Well, that's because we have the lowest income threshold to access Medicaid for parents in the country. If you make more than $250 a month and you have, and you're a family of 3, you make too much to get Medicaid as a parent. $250 a month. You can't work 10 hours a week at minimum wage and still receive that. So people misunderstand who's in that Medicaid coverage gap. These are working folks. These are parents. We simply have a larger portion of our population that works in industries where traditionally they don't provide insurance coverage. That's one of the reasons why we have the highest uninsured rate in the country. And the Affordable Care Act provided us a solution for that through Medicaid expansion. Don't get me wrong, the Affordable Care Act, we still have to build on it. We would still need to address the uninsured population and our undocumented immigrants. But there's a model for that. California was already doing it before the November elections. So we had a path forward, and our legislatures have left that path undone and instead spread misinformation about the Medicaid expansion and who exactly are those individuals who are left uninsured and without options. So, and as you all know, have instead tried to attack the Affordable Care Act and burn it down, rather than build on it and build on the success that we've already had, which of course would have been the better path forward.
Thank you so much for that explanation. Next question, please.
First of all, I'd like to thank the panel for showing up. My name is Dr. Ramsey DeCour, and I'm from east of town called Beaumont, Texas. I'm a family physician, so I'm on the front lines of seeing the patients who most benefited from the Affordable Care Act. Many of my patients come in not having had insurance since they were children, not having insurance for decades, being treated just in emergency rooms. So I understand how important preventative care is for everyone. The Republican AHCA had the support of less than 20% of Americans, while right now the Affordable Care Act has had the highest support it's ever had. So my question for Ted Cruz is, well, how do we convince Senator Cruz that what people want is the right to quality health care and not this false choice of having insurance choices from multiple companies who are profit motivated?
That's a very good question. So Ted Cruz wants to bring the responsibility of healthcare back to the states. One thing that I have noticed and I found very helpful is looking at the senator's voting record, correct? We look at what his voting record tells us about how he feels about Texas healthcare. Specifically, in 2015, the Medicare Access and CHIP law, renewal law, excuse me, which he was one of only 8 of hundreds of lawmakers who voted no. That's how he brings it back to the state. You're exactly right.
came out, it might have been even a couple years ago, that Cruz realized he has to have Obamacare as well. The Affordable Care Act was the only health policy that was accessible to him at that point, and his bros, Rubio and Rand Paul, had already signed on to it. So we don't have to convince him. He knows, and I think a lot of analysts have talked about this. The reason why Republicans, I'm not going to say that because some of us might be, and I would hate to make this a binary issue, but I do, and I have read that there is this terrifying fear of the Affordable Care Act because, they don't want it to be something that's seen as a win for the other side of the aisle. And they're so afraid that it might be this resounding success, which you mentioned it's starting to become, or, has for so many people whose lives have changed. And the credit is not going to fall in their lap. And, a lot of times, previous town halls that he has attended, people tell him that it's worked for me, and what is your alternative? And he has nothing to say.
They need to grow up.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for your question, and shout out to Beaumont in the building. All right. We'll go ahead and take the next question right over here. Go ahead and tell us your name, what part of town you represent.
Hi, I'm Ngozi. I live across the street, actually.
Hey.
This is my nephew, Nolan. My question is, I graduated in 2014 from high school, and the issue was overcrowding. So in this neighborhood, we have 2 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and 1 high school. Okay, the issue is that for our middle school, the kids who are zoned to this middle school in this area can't go to that school unless they get accepted into the school. So it was Ryan, and now it's Baylor College at Ryan or whatever. So if you live in this area, you have to go somewhere else to go to school if you want to go to your zone school, which then causes the school to be overcrowded. My question is, what exactly is he going to do for the overcrowding in the schools and for pushing the neighborhood kids out? Because this one here,
Good question.
this one, he can't go to the school that's around here. So we had Blackshear, we have Lockhart Turner. We can't go to those schools unless we get accepted or something magical happens and the waiting list is up. My question is, what is he going to do? Because now we have to look at other schools for my nephew because we can't go to the ones that are down the street from us. We have to go far out. I went to Fur, and I live across the street. Fur is by the Ship Channel. I went to Yakes for a semester, but the school was so overcrowded that it was maybe 1 teacher and a good 42 students in 1 classroom. It was too many of us in that classroom, which caused so many issues. We didn't have enough books, we didn't have any computers, we didn't have enough of anything. So I had to end up going to another school and keep going until I could find a school that was less undercrowded. Fur was still crowded, but I mean, you had to do what you had to do. So my thing is, what is he going to do about that? Because these are our neighborhood schools, and I feel like we should be able to go to the school that we're zoned to and be able to have us be a product of that and build up our community so that we can feel like, okay, we're doing something.
Thank you.
He won't do anything and he doesn't care. And the problem that you're talking about, I see when I'm out on my contracts. The problem has to do with how HISD is administered. And part of it does involve the federal money because it doesn't necessarily go where it needs to go to do that. At Addicts Middle School, where I am right now on a contract, this is the first year they had a library. Okay, so we are talking about what we need to do here in HISD to further the best distribution of funds and buildings and everything to make sure you and the other students like yourself are never in that situation, nor is your son.
My nephew.
Your nephew. So we need to work from that standpoint within the local school districts to make sure that that money that is coming in from the federal government under Title I is used the way that it should be used. But I can honestly tell you that Ted Cruz doesn't care, and I will also tell you that he would not care if the minority student even got a high school education.
So follow up with that, what do we do in the community? Because in the community, it's hard for cars. We have to go far out to go to school. We can't get on the school buses because we're technically not zoned to them. So what in the community can we do? When they have meetings, they tell us it's one day, we show up, it's a day before. So what can we do in the
The best thing that you can do is work within your area with the school board member that is representing your area into the local. Okay, so that's the best thing that you can do within that situation. So,
and the elections are coming up, so vote.
Yes, they are. HISD school board elections are in November. So,
if I can quickly add to that, I think the onus is all of us in this is on all of us in this room. Honestly, a lot of times we don't even know what's going on next door because we live in these bubbles, unfortunately, that are very segregated in Houston. I have to say that. I grew up my entire life. I didn't have a white friend until college because my neighborhood was just not a neighborhood that reflected the diversity of Houston, and many of ours don't. So we don't even know what's going on across the street from here. And I think a lot of times, even driving through here, people use words like it's dangerous, so I think we have to reform the vocab that we use to describe our fellow Houstonians, and then show up. Ted Cruz said, school choice is the civil rights issue of our time. So he's not going to do anything about our civil rights. That we have to do that. We have to show up at each other's school board meetings.
I'd just like to add, let's be clear. We can see, you live down the street where these resources are going. Let's be clear that, patriarchy still exists, that racism still exists, and that resources are not allocated where they need to be allocated. That is a form of transportation racism if a person who lives down the street has to travel to other parts of the school to go to school, to get a form of education. And then, when it gets so stressful, sometimes folks end up dropping out of school, and then they say that we're not taking personal responsibility. So let's be clear that there are barriers that are being put in place, and we look who is getting the effects of that. But again, that's where these coalitions are built, and this is where we're able to start seeing what's going on so we can.
I also want to add that we need to keep an eye on how industry works here in Texas, and especially in Houston, when they're trying to expand their industry and their infrastructure, because they do attack school. They try to take taxes away from schools, and that defunds some of the projects that they have. I think Valero is one of them that's been doing it in the city of Houston, where they won an $18.5 million judgment against Jefferson County, and caused Port Arthur, unable to hire new teachers and bring up new programs in the schools. So we need to keep an eye on how these refineries and these industries and these pipelines are also coming into the city of Houston and looking for funding for that could be going to students and other schools instead of shutting down schools and building prisons. We need to also keep an eye on that.
Sorry, might I add one more thing? The only time that we got some clarification and answer is when our neighborhood started to get gentrified. Like, when we first moved over here 10 years ago, it was nothing but of African American descent. The only time we got answer was 2-3 years ago, when on our street that went from maybe 50 people being black to maybe 10 people being black. That's the only time we got an answer.
Right. Thank you so much for voicing your opinion and sharing that with us. Thank you so much. I now want to add, it's not right and it needs to change. Senator, make it happen. We need change in Texas. We need to make sure that our communities are all aware of our issues. And like she said, it's important that we understand the different communities that exist within the diverse Houston population, and we help each other. Because like I said at the beginning, we are stronger when we work. Next question, please.
Howdy, all. My name is Dr. Austin Bigley, and I am an immunologist at the University of Houston. I've heard a lot of people talk about a lot of disagreements that people have with the senator, but there are a couple of issues that I want to bring up that perhaps progressives could actually work with Senator Cruz on. The first is considering that he is quite libertarian in his economic outlook. One thing that we could potentially work with him on is the re-importation of prescription drugs from Canada. So a lot of the more libertarian-minded Republicans voted for the first iteration of this bill that Senator Sanders had brought forward, and a lot of Democrats actually didn't vote for it. And anyway, I think this is an issue that we could probably put pressure on him and maybe try to get him to be a co-sponsor of the current version of that bill. And the second point I wanted to bring up is that a lot of these, more Tea Party-minded folks who are like quote-unquote constitutional conservatives are real big on reading into the Constitution. So a lot of them are going to be opposed to this basic declaration of war that we've made on Syria without any sort of congressional authorization. So we need to put pressure on these people to really get forward on that and oppose these military actions without congressional authorization. Hopefully we can get this into Congress. Hopefully we can get a vote on this, and hopefully we can vote it down so that we don't get involved in any more Middle East quagmires. And my last point is the emoluments clause everybody's been talking about. When you look at this action that we've had in Syria, and like a lot of other actions, we can tie a lot of these decisions that the president has made to his own pocketbook and things that profit him directly. So like one thing I haven't heard a lot from the mainstream media is about the fact that Donald Trump personally profited from the strikes that he authorized on Syria, where he's benefiting from the stock price and Raytheon Corps going up because they're the ones who made the Tomahawk missiles that he's dropping on Syria. So those are three issues, and I think that those are issues that we can really make Republicans take a stand on these issues. And if they don't side with us on those issues, they're just hypocrites. Because there are lots of things that we disagree about. But if they want to put up barriers to lower price of drugs coming into this country, that has nothing to do with any sort of conservative ideology. If they think the president can declare war without congressional authorization, that has nothing to do with the Constitution. And if they think the president should be able to put his family members in positions of power and personally profit from decisions that he makes as the head executive of this country, that also has nothing to do with conservatism. And we need to hold him accountable for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate you sharing your thoughts. Does anybody want to talk about Syria? Does anybody want to follow up on that?
I'm not going to speak on Syria, but I do want to bring up the concern of where we're living and where Houston stands. We are the largest petrochemical industry in the United States, and if any of those countries really get it together, then that would mean a catastrophic event for us, because this is where a lot of communities are at risk from blast zones and chemical exposure due to chemical warfare or anything like that. I do want to bring up the concern that the risk management plan, which was built by community members and multi-agency efforts to protect communities like that, has been is up for being removed from actually, becoming a policy of protection for communities like the Houston area, Manchester, Pasadena, and any other community that's nearby refineries and industries. We need to keep an eye on that. I think we need to really be adamant about how we are building together and how we are advocating for those communities together, because it's not just those communities that will be impacted. It will be the whole city of Houston and the whole state of Texas. So it's just a concern that I have, because I do live next to a refinery, and it's something that we hear often. It's a ticking time bomb, and we don't want to live in fear all our lives, but we also need to get together and advocate for those communities and push for stronger policies and a stronger community supporting those.
Thank you, Judith. Yes. Thank you. Go question right over here.
Yes, my name is Ira Denver. I blog at fairnow.org. First, I'm a little nervous because I'm used to writing, not speaking. But I want to thank all of you for being here first. Secondly, I want to thank everybody here who's got an American flag. Yes. And want to invite everyone who comes to protests and demonstrations to get one, because dissent is the highest form of patriotism. And we want to take back this symbol from the right wing. They don't own the flag, they don't own patriotism. We are the true patriots.
Thank you, sir.
The comment that I wanted to address to you folks has to do with health care. Health care is a human right. Sure. I believe that Liz McConnell mentioned that 24 million people would go without health care, without health care insurance, if the Republicans had had their way a week or two ago, right? And that number came, by the way, from the Congressional Budget Office. And there was a study several years ago that found, a statistical study in a peer-reviewed medical journal, that found that for every 830 people who gain health care insurance, there'll be one fewer death per year. Right? The flip side of that, of course, is that for every 830 people that you take health care away from, somebody's going to die. Strictly for that reason, and for no other reason. We don't know which one of those 830 people that somebody's going to die, right? If you do the math on 24 million people, that's 29,000 deaths, completely unnecessary deaths per year. And that's what the Republicans were voting for. And that's what Ted Cruz was voting for. 29,000 random executions in the United States every single year. I would like to also add that even under ACA, close to 29 million people do not have coverage. Using that same formula, it means we are currently, today, randomly executing 35,000 people per year. And that is why we need to pay attention to health care as a human right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I'm sitting here because I share that belief. I'm a physician because I believe healthcare, not access to healthcare, but healthcare itself is a human right. And there is a difference. Healthcare is not the same as access to healthcare. Those deaths that you're talking about are secondary to barriers to care. Anyone can have access to care. Anyone can have health insurance. But that does not mean they see a doctor when the deductible means that their child doesn't get dinner. That is not access to care.
Go ahead and take the next question right over here. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Neil Aquino. I'm a citizen of Houston, Harris County, Texas, in the United States of America. And I have two succinct questions for the panel. Is the panel cognizant that in a fashion kindred to Senator Cruz's refusal to attend a town meeting, that Congressman Ted Poe of the 2nd District also refuses to hold a town meeting. And I would just ask, incidentally, if possible, if any member of the panel has seen Congressman Poe and has also asked him. Also, my second question is, can the panel explain to me how it is that my father, Anthony S. Aquino, rest his soul, who thankfully didn't live to see Donald Trump as president, but could the panel answer for me why it is that Anthony S. Aquino of Providence, Rhode Island, was able to spend 1 year as a Korean War combat medic in the hills of North Korea, but Senator Cruz cannot for 3 hours answer questions, take some tough questions from his citizens? This learned panel would have some insight into those questions. I'd be highly appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question, sir.
You asked some hard questions.
Has anybody seen the congressman?
Well, I'm in Culberson District, so he did hold the town hall, but I haven't seen Ted Poe like anywhere. And yeah, I haven't seen Babbitt, and apparently our money is not good enough because the senator is going around and he's picking and choosing where he wants to go and ask questions, because everybody likes to be co-signed. Everybody wants to go, oh, you're so great, but when it's time for accountability and transparency and being able to answer questions of folks that are going to vote him out if he doesn't continue, if he continues down this path, then I guess we're just not the friendly crowd for him. Oops.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and keep on going. Make sure that you guys keep your editorial comments a little bit short. We want to make sure that everybody gets their question in. If you have a question, go ahead and step up to the mic. We'll be wrapping up the questions in just a few minutes. Go ahead at this.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Thomas, and I work with an organization called the Healthy Port Communities Coalition. And the Port of Houston is one of the largest ports in the country, and Ted Cruz is supporting getting federal funding to help with the expansion of the port. So basically what that's going to mean is there's going to be a lot more cargo coming in from China through the Panama Canal into Houston, and it's also going to allow for more exports coming out of petrochemical products. And so my question for Senator Cruz, should he be here, is what plan is in place to help protect the communities along the ship channel that are going to have to endure increased pollution, not only from the refineries themselves, but also from the freight being transported across the region, not including the ship channel area, but also the entire region. We're looking for a doubling in freight over the next 20 years or so.
Judith, did you want to take that question?
I wish I had the answer, and I wish I could just say all the things that need to be said, right? The point is that they're not wanting to do anything about it. I think the only thing that they're interested is in building more business and giving the industry as much leeway as they can, deregulating them, allowing them to pollute as much as they want, and allowing these bomb trains to come into neighborhoods and just park their trains for hours on end without moving for a long time and people needing to get back home. I think that it's really hard to live in a community like that, because right now in the next 4 years, there's a lot of worry with the national coalitions that have tried to implement policies like the risk management plan, the clean power plan, and all of these other policies that are trying to help protect communities like that. Right now, what is happening is the EPA is being defunded. The Office of Environmental Justice will probably also, not exist after this meeting coming up in April 24th, which holds their annual meeting with the National Environmental Justice Advisory Council, with Pruitt being the administrator of the EPA right now, who's always trying to kill the EPA right now. that's what he's doing. They're working on writing all these executive orders and defund these programs that are going to cut really valuable programs that help protect water, help protect air. And right now, the way that things are looking, the national coalitions, we're very worried about all of those efforts just going out the window. And I think it takes a strong community to stand behind the EPA in these cases, which, I am always the one to also shame the EPA for not doing its job. Right now, I'm actually thinking, dang, I need to stand with the EPA because that's the only agency right now that's, could protect communities like the Ship Channel communities. So, I don't know, I think this is where we come in as strong community leaders and community advocates with the public health sector, immigration, justice, LGBTQ, reproductive justice, and education to get together and figure out a strategy where we're coming up with our own policies, our own efforts to protect our communities, because these agencies are not for us, and they are not here to protect us. And I mean, these people are the ones that are saying that climate change is a pseudoscientific theory, and these impacts are just in our heads and just in our minds, and we don't care about jobs, and we're not American enough because we're trying to impose some policies that might get rid of jobs, which that's untrue. And we need to enforce a just transitions where we're continuing to build on clean energy and sustainable energy for the sake of our communities, and figure out a trade model where we're also incorporating sustainable practices within our communities.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Judith.
The other piece of that is the weather, folks. A direct hit by a hurricane at a 6-foot storm surge, which is what came in before with Ike, will literally permanently devastate the entire region that we live in. And if we don't do something about that, and Ted Cruz doesn't get off his rear end and do something about that with federal funding, we will not even be here to be able to talk about any of this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Great conversation. Thank you for your question, Stephanie. We'll go ahead and take your next question right here. If you do have a question, please go ahead and get in line right now. We're going to make sure we get to all the questions, but if you do have a question, I encourage you to step into line now. Go ahead.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, ¿y usted?
Muy bien, gracias.
I'm from North Houston, the Acres Homes area, primarily composed of
North Houston?
Sir. My parents are Mexican immigrants, son inmigrantes mexicanos. I'm lucky enough to be going to college right now, and I'm aspiring to be an immigration lawyer. My question, I guess, comprises a few different areas. For education, you have students who are under DACA, who are in constant fear of them and their families being deported and being detained. Not only that, but you also have, this has been going on in the Houston area as well. My question is that with everything that's going on right now, you have all this fear among the Latino community spreading, things between ICE, the ridiculous wall, and all these other things. What do you suggest to families who are in fear of these policies and who very strongly need help?
Great question. Thank you so much.
I strongly encourage you and your family members and communities at risk, especially the Latino community, to go onto the ACLU website and get a hold of the Know Your Rights resources. And those resources are good, especially for encounters with police and with ICE, because unfortunately outside of Harris County, there are sheriff's departments and police departments who are participating with ICE. That's not the current, or not supposed to be the current status here in Harris County. However, I strongly encourage you to go and visit that website and get very familiar about your rights.
Locally, you can also visit UnitedWeDream.com. There's a strong United We Dream Houston coalition. Make sure that you reach out to them. They'll be able to help you and guide you along the way as well. Thank you so much for your question.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to follow along on social media using the hashtag HoustonRising, as well as going to tedcruz.com and upload your videos from today's event to make sure that we get them to the senator, okay? Next question.
Yes. My name is Leah Olson. I am a resident of Montgomery County, Texas, and we are the first to do something in our area, and it's not a proud moment for us. We are the first to build an immigration detention center under President Trump. This detention center has a price tag of $110 million. And it will fund annual revenue to a corporation to the tune of multi-million-dollar annual revenue stream a year. I have several questions for Senator Ted Cruz, and first of all, what's the relationship between GEO and the federal government? Second, where's the transparency in this process? Third, what are we doing without, because we're spending $110 million on this immigration detention facility? Fourth, why do we need this immigration detention facility when we have over 1,000 beds allocated for this purpose, more than we will ever need? And this will raise the total number of beds to 2,500 beds in Montgomery County, Texas. This is unnecessary, and this is a waste of our federal tax money.
I agree.
But most important of all, what does this mean to our immigrant community? And one last thing for Senator Ted Cruz. This is the civil rights issue of our time.
Thank you so much for your comments. We'll make sure to get those to Mr. Cruz. And in the meantime, I would like to tell you detention centers and pay-for-profit prisons have no place in America. No place in America. We'll go ahead and take your next question right over here.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Hartley. I am a registered nurse. I specialize in neonatal intensive care. What that means is I take care of very fragile, ill babies. A lot of my patients start out very fragile and develop medical conditions that are chronic that require a lot of resources and a lot of care. I stay in touch with a lot of my former patients and their families, and one of the primary concerns that I keep hearing from them is if the ACA is repealed and that prohibition of lifetime maximums for coverage, if that goes away and insurance companies can say, you've spent so much, we're not going to cover you for the rest of your life. These parents are asking me what they're going to do because they can't afford the nursing care their child requires. They can't afford the literally basic nutrition that their child depends on. And the concern is my child's going to starve to death because I can't afford to pay for this, and insurance companies can't deny them. So my question for Senator Cruz is, how come you don't care enough about those babies to make sure that before you do anything against the ACA that you are protecting their right to coverage, at least to some degree? But then you can be so vehemently, pro-life.
Thank you so much. Anybody want to speak on that topic?
I'd love to add something to that, because when you look at the Affordable Care Act's repeal bill, it is as big, if not bigger, of an attack on our Medicaid program as it is on the direct insurance from the marketplace, the individual marketplace. For Texas alone, it would have taken $15 billion away from our Medicaid program. That's important to those babies because 45% of our children receive their insurance through Medicaid. And that's not going to... I mentioned this today if anyone was at the tax march. Even if we manage to get through the Affordable Care, this iteration of trying to attack the Affordable Care Act without something that's labeled the ACA repeal bill, even if we manage to get on the other side of that, which So far, we've been doing great. Good job to everyone in the room. We're really pushing hard. It had 7 years to get appointed, and we came with, I can't even comment, as I mentioned this morning, it's a tax bill, it's not a health bill. But again, even if we get through this, the next step is tax reform. Trump said it this week. Do you know where the biggest pot of money that Paul Ryan has been trying to attack? It is Medicaid. It is Medicare. It for so many of those babies. They are going to try it through tax reform too. We have to stay vigilant to protect those children. And it's not just at the federal level, guys. Those cuts to the programs. We saw therapy rate cuts for children, fragile children, come out of the Texas legislature. They're cutting our program again this year. We've got to also look to our Texas legislature. They can do a lot of damage to the coverage that protects those children as well. There's a bill being heard next week that tries to do a lot of the things that the ACA repeal bill would have done for private insurance here in Texas. It would reduce the essential health benefits. It would reduce those guarantees. So we've got to pay attention on both levels if we really want to protect those kids. And I know healthcare is complicated. Everybody knew that, just so everybody knows. Healthcare policy is complicated too, so we have to be vigilant on all the fronts.
So thank you very much. I just got to know we are done with questions. If you're in line right now, your question will be answered. No more questions will be taken after the last gentleman or lady at the end of our lines right here, okay? Go ahead.
My name is Donna Murphy. I'm from the greater Houston area. I grew up in CD7. I live in CD22. I'm a neurologist and neuroscientist. I had the great serendipity of creating a Facebook group called Pantsuit Republic. Before I ask my one question, which is a healthcare question, I had to share this observation, which I hope other people observed as well, and that is that we are 100% mujeres líderes aquí. It was 100% women. And I wanted to celebrate that because it's an important observation. It doesn't often happen. And my question is actually, so for all of the ideas that are currently being floated as the potential replacements to the ACA, what are the kinds of implications for rural health and for the county health system within the state of Texas?
Thank you. Good question.
So I've heard a lot about telehealth medicine, and I do believe, and I think there has been a bill proposed recently about the funding for both telehealth and also the reimbursement for rural physicians participating in telehealth medicine programs, which would be extremely helpful, especially considering these critical access hospitals and clinics continuing to shut down with cuts to their funding, the distance that patients must travel, continually to receive health care in these rural areas continues to grow. So I think that's it for the rural question. I'm going to add a little to that. So one of the things that the AHCA does away with is how this tax subsidies that are currently available in the marketplace, how they're determined. Currently, how much you get in a tax subsidy, your geography can impact that. Why would you do that? Well, because healthcare costs different depending on where you are. It costs a different amount. The AHCA, the ACA repeal bill, would do away with those that rating by geography. And I highly encourage everyone to go to the Kaiser Family Foundation has created a great map where you can see the difference in those areas. And what's so stark in Texas is that is individuals in rural areas, they're going to see if they were to pass the ACA repeal bill as written right now, they would see huge increases in their premiums because those subsidies no longer adjust for the fact they live in a rural area with low access to healthcare, therefore with more expensive healthcare. So the bill itself attacks people based on their age because it allows for
a bigger increase in what you can charge someone based on their age. It also impacts you based on your income. They're no longer income adjusted, but it's important to remember, and this has been less reported on, it also impacts you based on your geography. So if you're in a high healthcare cost area, it will make your premiums completely unaffordable. So I think that sort of addresses that.
Thank you, and thank you so much for being here, and I agree with your comment, women's role. Women's role. I mean, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Deborah Dodds, and I have lived in Houston now for 10 years, having moved from a blue state of New Jersey. I'll tell you what a shock. My general question to you, and then I'd like to explain why I'm asking it, is, Senator Cruz, how can you stop your own and your fellow Texas representatives and senators from lying to us? And the reason why I ask that is because this past week I sent bots, I called, I sent emails to Cruz, Cornyn, and Poe. Now, I did get a reply, not from Cruz, not from Cornyn, but from Poe. And I would like to read, you know, lying Poe, I would like to read a portion of this email. He thanks me for writing to him, and he appreciates me. He says, hearing from and meeting with constituents is a priority for me. I recently held a town hall in the Bear Creek community, which was attended by hundreds of constituents. This is sort of like a gated community near Katy, is my understanding, with 2 lovely swimming pools, according to their website. And apparently, this was last year. Before the thing. Thank you. I knew I had to be up here. Okay, so this will give me whatever. He says, any future public meetings will be announced on my website and social media accounts, which I encourage you to follow. Well, I haven't seen them mentioned there. Although I am in remission, the world's smallest, violin, I am currently completing treatment for leukemia and am doing so primarily in Washington, D.C., so that I am present for votes on the House floor and committee meetings. So my question is, what committee meetings and what House votes during these 2 weeks? That has me quite worried. We must have alternate, we talk about alternate facts. He must have alternate House of Representatives. So I am extremely distressed by lies to the constituents. And while I feel sorry, I don't wish cancer. I've had cancer. I don't wish cancer on anyone. But frankly, he has the gold standard of insurance for his life because of being a member of Congress. Yeah. So my question, ladies, because Ted Cruz is not here, what do you do about the lies?
Great question. Thank you so much. Accountability. I think that next time that they do host a town hall, you show up. And you show up in big numbers. You show up with your friends, your family, and your co-workers, and you hold these people accountable. Do you guys want to follow up?
Just to stop the lies, you vote them out of office.
It might also help if...
Vote them out! Vote them out! Vote them out! Vote them out! Vote them out!
We could also give him the same health insurance that they're proposing for us.
Thank you so much for your comments. Please make it short. We're trying to wrap up, so just about 16 to 30 seconds for the question. Come keep it fast and we'll go for it.
All right, this is a great segue because my name is Ali Barzani. I live in Texas District 2. I'm running against Ted Poe. And I know some Ted Cruz and Ted Poe and all of the Republicans have a supermajority in all branches of government. We have a looming crisis, national defense crisis coming upon us, which is the climate crisis. It's also a looming opportunity. I am a field service engineer. I have an engineering and chemistry background, and when I look at the environment and I look at green technologies and solar panel and solar technologies, we can build infrastructure and create jobs and save the environment at the same time. Now, Ted Cruz and Ted Poe and all the Republicans are the pro-business party. Why are they doing nothing to help solve the climate crisis?
Because they don't believe in it. That's exactly why. But also because, you know, one thing that we also need to do, not just vote people out of office, we also need to mobilize and organize our communities and develop advocates that will push for these policies and will push for these kinds of initiatives that you're talking about. Because there is a lot of lack of education on what that looks like for our communities and who is going to get those jobs. And the people that need those jobs are the low-income communities, the misrepresented communities, the minority communities that, you know, are being impacted by these dirty fossil fuel industries.
Thank you so much for being here today. Next question, please.
Hi, my name is Nancy Gregg, and I'm a biologist and educator. I live in the Heights, just west of the Heights, and I've lived in Texas since '77. I moved here from Canada when more or less around the time when Ann Richards was governor. And I used to be proud to live in Texas, and now I'm constantly having to explain to my Canadian relatives why I'm still here. But all these issues resonate with me so much. I mean, I'm a woman, I have so many immigrants who are friends, et cetera, but as a biologist and an environmentalist, I guess the thing I'm most passionate about are those issues. What I don't understand is why, Mr. Cruz and your administration, are you rolling back things that were already in process? Like the mileage requirements. You know, the car companies were already on board with that. The lead bullets. Oh, my science. Why are you letting those happen again? The Endangered Species Act, emissions from plants, all these. I don't understand. It seems like spite to me. Just spiteful. And why are you going backwards in time? That's all I have to say.
Really quick.
Again, we need to keep pushing for these kinds of things. Environmentalism and environmental justice are two different things, and we need to always know the difference, but pushing for both, you know, protection of people and animals and water and air and land should be a priority, because this is the one planet we have. Unless you can afford to live on Mars, this is where your families and your future generations are.
Thank you for your question. Please, your name and your question.
Sorry, I'm Jennifer. I'm from in Houston. I live in the Med Center area. I am a second-generation immigrant. I saw up on this very nice display, thank you for that, that Ted Cruz has said some things about considering it a blessing to be the child of an immigrant who fled oppression. And as somebody in a similar situation, I happen to agree. So my question for the senator is, what exactly freedom looks like to him? Does freedom look like a press conference where the press is not allowed to ask questions? Or where major broadcast networks are barred? Does freedom look like legal permanent residents turned away from their own country? Does freedom look like when a government employee tells you her honest opinion that barring these residents from the country is unconstitutional? Does it look like firing her and then releasing a press statement saying that she's betrayed the country? My question to the senator is basically, what does freedom look like to you, and what are you doing to defend it against people who would make encroachments on it?
Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, my name is Teresa Allen. I'm from Spring, Texas, and that's the precinct, the district of Congressman Ted Poe, who is missing in action. The question I have for Senator Cruz has been on my mind ever since he made so much headway with his little joke in his filibuster, reading Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham. I would encourage Senator Cruz, and I asked him to read the Lorax. If he thinks that science is not important, the environment is not important, and you can just push business to the very limits till they just grind, just demolish everything, then he should read the Lorax. If he thinks that we can bomb our way to peace, then he should read the Butter Battle book. And if he thinks that the president can continue as he is, I suggest that he give Mr. Trump the book to read, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. People kissing up to Mr. Trump and just ignoring the horrible things that he does and says. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know that you guys all have specific anecdotes and messages that you want to send. Please keep them as short as possible for time. Go ahead.
My name is Ryan Booker. I'm from Montrose. I want to follow up on some of these questions we've heard about healthcare. Clearly, there's a ton of energy in this room around the issue. We've seen a lot of energy around the country in defending the ACA and rejecting the AHCA. So I want to hear a discussion on how we can go on the offensive rather than be constantly on the defensive. The gentleman earlier pointed out that 28 million Americans, 29 million Americans are currently being failed by the ACA in that they do not have health care coverage. Many millions more have high deductible health insurance plans that they can't afford to use. So what can we do to harness this energy into working for a universal health care system like Medicare for All that guarantees health care to all Americans as a right?
I would start with the Medicaid expansion in Texas. Close the gap. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you so much for your comments. Right here.
My name is Deborah.
Oh, Frank, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say I have to apologize. I have to go to a wedding, but I need to sneak out. But I just want to thank everybody for being here and just say continue to resist, y'all. Y'all are...
Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Watson.
My name is Deborah. I live on the east side of town. And I just want to ask Ted Cruz, does he have a soul? Talking about, I could feel his hurt in his voice. Yes. About his family, breaking up families, parents and children. Aren't we all immigrants, people?
Yes, we are.
If you guys are not fired up and pissed off and just, I am so furious. If we're not mad to do something about this, like right now, we deserve what has happened. We deserve it. We are not ready to fight, resist, and VOTE.
Houston, rise up, right? Rise up. All right, right here.
Hi, my name is Cindy, and I'm from Clear Lake area, which they consider Houston. First of all, thank you guys for being here. And of course, Ted Cruz is not here. First of all, I want Ted Cruz to get this message that, you know what, we came here to be able to talk to you, right? Your job is for the people, which is us. The people is what America is. We need to remember what America stands on, our foundation, and what we are. America, to me, and I know to everybody here, stands for the freedom of race, as far as doesn't make a difference what religion, what race, or what color you are. You're a human soul that deserves to have the freedom and the opportunity that United States of America is supposed to provide. Right now, why is it that as an American we have to get up and we have to worry whether or not our children are going to get an education, whether or not our friends, and I go to the Mexican restaurant, one of my favorite Mexican restaurants, how sad they are and how scared they are, whether or not they're going to be here. Why is that happening? So Mr. Ted Cruz, just to let you know, if you think that you're going to get off easy and it's going to be simple, you have another thought coming. Because it's not just me, it's everybody else here, and believe me, I'm out there and I'm going to work it to make sure awareness, and we need to spread it on a daily basis. If you go to a restaurant and you see somebody there, you talk to them about what you know. That's where the difference is going to be made. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. HoustonRising.com. Make sure that you visit that website as well at the same form. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Good evening. My name is Alain Valladares. I'm a recent immigrant from Cuba. I'm a high school senior at Fair High School. And I want to go to college next year. I got accepted in so many universities, but as many students in this country, we have a crisis with the student debt, and I will not be able to pay for college. Even if I'm in the top 10% of my class, I will not be able to pay for college if I don't get a student loan. So I'm really worried about my question to Ted Cruz is, why are we spending so many billions of dollars in the military, and we are not spending that many billions of dollars in our education?
I know that there are some wonderful organizations that are trying to offer both state financing for undocumented immigrants as well as people of low income. So I invite you to visit as well as UnitedWithDream.com and other organizations as well. Thank you so much for being here and being brave enough to stand up. I appreciate that.
Hi, I am with Justice Democrats and Justice Democrats Houston. You guys can find out more at justicedemocrats.com or facebook.com/Justice Democrats Houston. My question for Ted Cruz is not about my Justice Democrats platform, but instead about my nutritional sciences background. When are we going to get rid of these food deserts? How are we going to feed our population? What's going on?
Great question. Thank you.
My name is Aracina Hernandez, and I'm from Pasadena, and I wanted to come here personally and ask Ted Cruz, what are you going to do when I come for your seat? Because I am running against Ted Cruz. Whether you like it or not, Ted Cruz, you are leaving for 570 days to get the hell out. Because we are coming for you, and I see how he's going to act. With all these people here asking all these questions, he didn't have the balls to come and answer. But you know what? We are here, we're going to vote him out, and we're going to need real people in office. So y'all people get out there and elect real people, not politicians who are going to sell you out, that are not going to keep the checks and balances on this president, cutting down these programs, instead of taxing these billion-dollar corporations to fund them. Because we need our education, we need our health care, we need green energy here.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. The mayoral Pasadena elections are coming up in May, guys. Stay informed, stay engaged. 2 more questions and we're wrapping up. Go ahead.
Hey, my name is Elle Church and I'm from Alvin, Texas. And as some of you might know, I also organized the tax march that a lot of you came to. Thanks for that. Ali, the gentleman in the pussy hat, asked my question pretty much, so I'm just here to give you a little bit of information that I got from Ted Cruz's office, and that is, we asked him to speak at our event today, and his office did reply to us. We got an answer, and that was, he could not speak at our event because he had a conflicting event today. I thought it would be this. Evidently, it was not. I'm so sorry, you guys. Additionally, to the person that asked about Ted Poe, he repeatedly denied the acceptance of a certified letter that we sent him asking to speak at our event. So evidently, you can't even do that.
These are the facts.
You need to talk to me. So, thank you, Ali, for asking the question that I had, and that was about science in this Houston area and in Texas, because we are such a science-based economy. Why are you turning down the opportunity? Because you love money. Why are you turning it down? Why do we have to march for it again next weekend? Why is this something we're fighting for?
Thank you so much for your question, and thank you so much for everyone for being here.
I have one announcement. If you want to gang up on Ted Poe, I am the leader of the Indivisible Texas O2 constituent group in Kingwood. We also have a gentleman named George Talashe. I don't know if George is in the house. I don't think he is. George runs the Montrose section of our gerrymandered district, but Ted Poe is a mile from my house. We meet every Thursdays.
Thank you.
Look me up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. And I appreciate you guys all for staying. Thank you. Give it give a hand up. Ladies and gentlemen, the panel. So much information. Everybody's so fired up. Please stay in your seats. We've got closing remarks and the next steps to take. Make sure that you stay vigilant and stay engaged. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the original authors and founders of this movement today, Miss Candace.
Hello. If you are sitting down, stand up. All right. I'm going to ask you to take it one step further. Stand up and move closer. Because that is what it takes to make a movement. We have to stand and we have got to move closer. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of time. Come on closer. Get closer to me. I bite, but only Ted Cruz. Okay. First, I want to start out with thank you. Thank you for being the change we want to see in the world. Thank you completely. Give me just 1 second. I don't do well with podiums and things like that. I'm just a regular old person. I'm not a paid protester. I am just me, and I'm going to do me. Okay. So I want to give you guys a little bit of how this all came to be. There's a group of us, and we're all from different grassroots organizations, and we saw a need in the community, and that need was, that's called having my back. Oh girl, this got some bass in it. I like it. So, we all saw a need in the community, and that need is to be able to communicate with our representatives. It does not matter if you're Republican, you're Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, you're an American citizen, and because this is a democracy, we have a right to communicate with our representatives. We did write Ted Cruz. We called him multiple times. We have emailed him. We tweeted things out. We showed up. I talked to Kyle myself. And at this moment, he did not think enough of the people sitting in this room to show up.
He ignored us.
He ignored us.
He ignored us. Tell him what he done.
Who's on board with being ignored? Absolutely not. We're not. Exactly. So these amazing women, thank you so very much. These amazing women are the example of what Texas is about. If there is a need, we will meet it. If there is something that needs to be done for Texas, Texans will answer the call. And I want to thank every one of you ladies for answering that call. What we needed from Ted Cruz was answers. And Ted Cruz went silent on us. This is his last chance. This was his last opportunity to show up and talk to us. And he snoozed on it. He ignored us. He did not think that we were a force to be reckoned with. But he is wrong. He is wrong. What is that? What did you just say to me? Vote him out! Vote him out! Vote him out! Exactly. Vote him out! Exactly. So in the silence of Ted Cruz, let that be the chant in your head. Vote him out. If you're not going to be here and meet us, vote him out. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it, no exceptions to the rule. So that means Ted Cruz didn't show up, vote him out. Anyone else in the state of Texas, if you don't meet us where we are, we will vote you out. We will vote you out. Ted Cruz will have you believe by his actions is the only women that matter in the state of Texas are wealthy, white, and conservative. And I call BS on that. Education. Number 43, we're Texas. Right. So Ted Cruz would have you think that the only children that need education is the children that will continue his fascist beliefs. So let's go back to, you gotta be rich, you gotta be white, and you gotta be conservative. Well, that's not me, and I deserve an education. That's not my children, and they deserve an education. And guess what? Those are my tax dollars. Those are my tax dollars. This is my home, right here. I live on a street. When you look to the left, you see this amazing Hispanic culture. When you look to the right, you see this amazing African American culture. You go forward, you see this amazing culture. Beautiful Muslim women sharing their love and their knowledge. And all around us, we can meet our own needs. Every single person in here has a need, and there is someone in this room right now that can meet it. We are Texas. We are what really makes America great. It is us, right here, right now. It is us. I'm not going to spend $100 to talk to my senator. Okay? I'm not going to contribute some large amount of money in the name of a PAC to get his attention. If I got to do all of that, I'm going to vote you out, baby. That's how it is. Okay? I'm fixing to share something with you right now that my grandmother shared with me. She said to me, "You are worthy. And if somebody doesn't want you, fine, keep it moving." Ted Cruz doesn't want me. Ted Cruz doesn't want you guys. Now, he wants our tax dollars, and he wants our silence. He wants us to kneel, lay down, so he and his agenda can march right on over us, and I'm not having it. I am a Texan, and I will stand for you. I will stand for my children. I will stand for your children. I will stand for our rights. We are Houston, Texas, and we will rise above all of this. It was no joke. We actually are the second largest voting pool in the entire country. Okay? Let that sink in. We are the second largest voting pool in the entire country. And if he doesn't move the way Houston moves, he can move right on out. That is where we are. We will not be afraid. We will not be silenced. We will speak boldly and intentionally. And we will watch Houston rise above all of this. All of this. We say no to Ted Cruz and his agenda. Let me hear you say no. No! That's right. Let me hear you say it again. No! Exactly. And every single time you go out into the world, you spread what you already know. And that is, we are bigger than the agenda that he has set against us. We are Texas, and you either work for us or you don't work. Hey, you go. And the way that I look at it is, if Ted Cruz is out of a job, well, he's a champion of health care. Let him sign it up. Right? Yeah. Absolutely. Feel it. Feel this burn. Feel this burn. You will get tired. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be real honest. You will get tired. When you get tired, when you see your flames start to kind of dwindle, you need to lean a little bit to somebody else's flame, because that's what fire does. Fire spreads. We got enough fire in this room right now to spread all through Harris County and beyond. Thank you all for coming here because we are the people. We were sitting around and we were organizing this. And every single time we had a meeting, that feeling grew. I know it did for me. Okay, I was like, first meeting, y'all, this is gonna be awesome. Everybody's like, yeah, we're fixing to do this. Second meeting, okay, look, guys, this is gonna be good. By the time I get to the fourth meeting, I'm running in the room like, oh my God, let's get this done. Because that is what this is. This is fire, and it is hot, and it is burning. And so this is what has come out of all of this amazing hard work that you guys have put in, the people that I have been blessed to know. We are Houston Rising. We are Houston Rising. Houston will rise. We will lift as we climb. Does everybody know what lift as we climb means? No. What lift as we climb means as the better I get, the better I want you to get. So, when I go up another step, I'm going to grab your hand and I'm going to pull you with me. Okay? That is where we are right now. We are going to lift as we climb. So I'm going to climb another mountain. I'm going to lift you up with me. And after we get done there, we'll stop, take a selfie. We did that. And then we got another mountain to climb because our work is not done yet. So, because we are the people, and this is for the people, by the people, I want to present to you these amazing people that have been patient with me. They've been encouraging. They've just been so super awesome. Guys, come on out. To a convenience store and you went to grab a 6-pack of Blue Moon and you were like, oh wow, Ted Cruz is missing. Well, that was us. If you were wondering where this fire came from, it was all of us. And we are those people where we had to lean sometimes. Guys, I'm tired. And we have been inspiration for each other. What you see standing in front of you are nurses, consultants. We're doctors, we're lawyers, we're just regular old everyday run-of-the-mill Texans. Nisha is extraordinary. Okay. Nisha is extraordinary. This young man right here though, how about that trailer? We knew that there was a need. And like Texas, we meet that need. I'm going to grab hands. Let's grab hands, guys, because these regular everyday people are just like you. We are just like you. And you know what we also are? We're Houston Rising. Okay? Well, this is Houston Rising. And we thank you. So what I want you to do, I've got like every good progressive meeting, we've got a couple of takeaways. Everybody's got to stay busy. First and foremost, if you've got Twitter and Instagram, pull out your phones and everybody follow us. Houston Rising is HTX Rising. It is going to be the same for Twitter and Instagram. I want you guys to get familiar with that because this is Houston Rising. You are Houston Rising, and we are going to continue to push the progressive agenda forward. We will continue to educate. We will continue to share. We will continue to lift as we climb. Say it, lift as we climb. Lift as we climb. That's what we do. That is the difference between us and them. They want to keep us chained, and we lift as we climb. Save the date. On June 10th, you will hear from Houston Rising again. And we want you guys all to be there. We want you all to celebrate this amazing journey with us. If you don't remember anything that happened today, I want you to remember this. You are worth the attention. You are worth it. You are worth the time, you're worth the energy, you're worth the attention. You matter to us. And if you don't matter to Ted Cruz, that means Ted Cruz is in the wrong place. Not you. You're Texas, and this is exactly where you should be. So don't forget, June 10th, save that date. Follow us, HTX Rising. And this is Houston Rising. So, thank you guys so much. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm like hyped on life right now. I'm so excited. So, our panelists, thank you all so very much. Thank you for bringing your expertise. Thank you for meeting the people's need. I cannot wait to work more with you guys. You guys rock. You're amazing. I've learned some things today, and I'm constantly reading. But guys, y'all are awesome. Thank you so very much. And let me just put this out there too. Something that we have heard is, wow, they've got way better answers than Ted Cruz could ever come up with. You are exactly right. Because these ladies are the people, for the people. Thank you all very much. Don't forget, follow us, Instagram, Twitter, save the date, June 10th, Houston Rising.